The market was crowded with strange voices, colorful stalls, and the smell of spices floating in the air. Humans walked beside towering aliens, traders shouted, and small children ran between the legs of strangers. It was a noisy place where no one paid attention to a single traveler, but one man did not come here to buy. He came because he heard something unusual, a sound soft and trembling, hidden under the chaos. It was not the shout of a trader, not the laughter of children, but something else. It was the sound of someone whispering in fear. He followed it, step by step, moving past stalls of bright fruit, glowing stones, and strange animal skins. Finally, near a broken crate behind an abandoned corner, he heard it clearly, a faint cry, almost like the whimper of a small animal. The man bent down, pushing the crate gently aside. His eyes widened. Inside, curled up and trembling, was a tiny alien girl. Her skin shimmered faintly with silver blue light, and her big round eyes glowed like two small moons in the dark. She hugged her knees tightly, her body shaking, her clothes were torn, her hair tangled. She looked like she had been hiding there for days. The moment she saw him, she screamed. Her voice was sharp, filled with terror. "Please don't eat me," she cried, her tiny hands covering her face. Her whole body pressed against the corner of the crate, as if trying to disappear. The man froze, shocked by her words. Eat her? He had never heard something so strange. He stepped back, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. But the girl kept trembling, her chest rising and falling quickly. Around them, a few passers-by stopped. Some laughed at her words. "Another one afraid of humans?" One alien muttered, shaking his head. "They still tell those old stories," another said, grinning. But the man did not laugh. He looked at the tiny alien girl. Really looked. She was not joking, her fear was real. Her wide eyes held nothing but terror. And in that moment he understood. Someone had taught her that humans were monsters. He crouched slowly, his voice calm and soft. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. His tone was gentle, like speaking to a frightened child. But the girl shook her head violently. "Lies," she whispered. "Humans are beasts. They eat the weak. That is what we were told." Her voice cracked, and tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. The man's chest tightened. How could anyone fill a child's mind with such horror? He wanted to reach out, but he knew one wrong move could make her run deeper into fear. So he stayed still, his hands open, his voice steady. "Look at me," he said softly. "Do I look like a beast?" The girl's eyes darted between his face and the crowd gathering behind him. Her breath was shaky. Her small body pressed tighter into the crate. She whispered again, almost begging, "Please, don't eat me." The man's heart ached. He noticed how thin she was, her arms like fragile sticks, her clothes hanging loose from her body. She had not eaten properly in a long time. Hunger and fear had carved deep shadows under her glowing eyes. A child, abandoned, scared, believing monsters were around every corner. And now she thought he was the worst monster of all. The crowd grew larger. Some laughed cruelly. Others shook their heads and walked away. To them it was just a strange scene. But to him, it was something else, something important. Slowly, he reached into his satchel and pulled out a piece of bread. He placed it on the ground between them, not pushing it forward, just leaving it there. Then he leaned back, giving her space. The girl stared at it with wide, hungry eyes. Her body betrayed her. Her stomach growled, loud enough for him to hear. She turned her head away quickly, embarrassed, still. She didn't move. He said softly, "It's for you, not a trap, not a trick." His voice carried no anger, only patience. Minutes passed. The crowd lost interest and moved on, leaving the corner quiet again. The man stayed where he was, waiting. The tiny alien girl trembled less now. Her eyes kept returning to the bread. The smell of food filled her small nose. At last, with shaky hands, she reached forward, snatched the bread, and pulled it close to her chest like treasure. She did not eat it yet. Her eyes remained locked on him, waiting to see if he would attack. But he didn't. He just gave a small smile. "See," he whispered. "I told you, I won't hurt you." The girl blinked, confused. Her mouth opened as if to speak, but no words came out. She was still afraid, but something inside her shifted, just a little. A seed of doubt about the stories she had always believed. For the first time since hiding in the crate, her whisper was not filled with terror, but with a trembling question. If you are not a beast, then what are you? The man did not answer right away. He looked at her with gentle eyes, letting silence hold the moment. Finally, he said softly, I am human, and maybe one day, you'll see that means something different than you think. The tiny alien girl clutched the bread tightly. Her heart still raced, but her fear was mixed with something new, curiosity. And so, the frightened encounter had begun. The meeting of a girl who believed humans were beasts, and a man who chose to show her the truth. The night settled over the busy market. The stalls closed one by one, lights dimmed, and traders packed away their goods. But in the lonely corner, where the broken crate stood, the tiny alien girl sat with the bread in her hands. Her body was still tense, her glowing eyes wide, watching every move of the human who had given her food. She had not eaten yet. She held the bread like it was both a gift and a danger. Her small mind fought against itself. Her hunger screamed at her to eat, but her fear whispered that it could be poisoned, a trap made by the beasts called humans. The man did not pressure her. He sat a little distance away, leaning against the wall, his face calm, his hands open where she could see them. He seemed patient, like he could wait the whole night if needed. Finally, when the stars began to shine above, the girl brought the bread to her lips and took a tiny bite, her eyes squeezed shut, her body shaking. She waited. She thought poison would burn her throat, or her chest would explode, or maybe her body would freeze. That was what the story said. Humans never gave food unless they wanted to catch prey. But nothing happened. The bread was soft, warm, and real. Her stomach growled again. And this time she did not fight it. She ate quickly, tears slipping from her eyes, because every bite felt like betraying what she had been told. The man watched quietly, not saying a word. Only when she finished did he speak. Better? He asked, his voice gentle. The girl hugged her knees and looked at him with suspicion. Why? She whispered. Her voice was weak, almost breaking. Why did you not hurt me? He tilted his head. Why would I? He asked simply. Her lips trembled. Her small hands clutched at her torn dress. Because humans are beasts, she whispered. My people told me. Your kind eats the weak, drinks their blood, and laughs as they suffer. Her voice was filled with the weight of memory, as if each word had been carved into her since birth. The man's chest grew heavy. He could see how deep the fear ran. It was not just a child's imagination. It was a belief, a curse given to her by her people, a shield of lies to keep her away from humans. Who told you this? He asked softly. My elders, she said. Her glowing eyes flickered with pain. They said never go near humans, never talk to them, never trust them. They said if a human ever touched me, I would vanish, my soul would be eaten. She shivered, as if even repeating the words would call a monster from the dark. The man sighed, running a hand through his hair. He wondered how many more children like her lived in fear. He wondered how many mothers whispered those same stories into the ears of their little ones each night, keeping hatred alive. He did not argue. Not yet. He knew if he pushed too fast, she would run. So instead he asked, And you believe all of that? The girl hugged her knees tighter, her small frame shaking. Yes, I must believe it is the truth, she said, but her voice was unsteady. Her eyes kept returning to the empty piece of bread in her hands. She had eaten what a human gave her, and yet she was still alive, still breathing, still herself. The man leaned forward just slightly. But you ate my food, he said gently. Are you gone? Did your soul vanish? Her lips parted, but no words came. Her mind wrestled with fear and reality. She touched her chest, then her face. Her small hands trembled. I am still here, she whispered. Her voice was full of disbelief. He smiled softly, not in mockery but in kindness. Then maybe the stories are not true, he said. Her eyes darted to him, filled with both fear and confusion. If they are not true, she whispered, then why would they tell me? Why would they tell all of us? The man looked up at the stars for a long moment. His voice was low when he finally answered. Because fear is easier to teach than trust. The girl's little body went still. Her glowing eyes blinked as if the words struck something deep inside her. She thought of the faces of her elders, the harsh voices warning her to hide, the old tales told by firelight. She thought of all the times she trembled when humans passed near. Could it be lies? Could it all be wrong? Her heart was not ready to believe, but doubt had been planted. She whispered again, almost like a secret to herself. If you are not a beast, then what are you? The man smiled faintly, his eyes kind. I am human, and maybe, little one, you will learn for yourself what that means. The wind blew softly across the market, carrying away the last noise of the day. In the silence, the tiny alien girl felt something new inside her chest. Not trust, not yet, but a crack in the wall of fear that had always surrounded her. She hugged the last crumbs of bread close, her eyes never leaving the human. In her mind, the whispers of the past still echoed, stories of beasts, of monsters, of humans who devoured the weak. But in her heart, another whisper began to grow, a whisper that asked if maybe, just maybe, those stories were not the whole truth. The night stretched on, the market grew quiet, and the sounds of traders were replaced by the soft hum of insects and the distant call of night creatures. The human man had built a small fire in the corner where the crate lay broken. The flames gave off warmth and gentle light, chasing away the shadows. The tiny alien girl sat across from him, her glowing eyes watching the fire flicker. She held herself tightly, her little arms wrapped around her knees, though she was no longer hiding inside the crate. She stayed close enough to escape if she needed, but far enough to feel safe. Her stomach growled again, louder than before. She pressed her hands against it, embarrassed. Her body had betrayed her earlier, but now it was worse. She had eaten a little bread, yet it only made her hungrier. The human noticed. He reached into his bag and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. Slowly, without sudden movement. He unwrapped it to reveal dried meat and roasted roots. The smell spread through the air, rich and warm. The girl stiffened, her eyes locked on the food. Her throat moved as she swallowed hard, but fear flashed in her gaze. She whispered, her voice trembling. You want me to eat, so you can trap me? The man shook his head calmly. No trap, he said softly. He placed the food down on the ground between them, just as he had done with the bread. He leaned back, showing his empty hands. It is for you if you want it. If not, I will eat it myself. Her glowing eyes darted between him and the food. Her small body trembled. Her elders' voices screamed in her memory. Humans feed you only to make you fat. Then they eat you alive. She shook her head, covering her ears as if she could block out the warnings. But her stomach roared again. The hunger was too strong. She had not eaten in days. Her hands shook as she crawled slowly toward the food, her every movement cautious like a wild animal stepping into a snare. She picked up a roasted root, sniffed it, then pulled back quickly as if expecting it to bite her. The human only watched, his face calm. His eyes were tired but gentle. He did not move closer. Finally, the girl took a small bite, her eyes squeezed shut, waiting for fire to burn her throat, waiting for pain, but none came. The food was soft, warm, and tasted better than anything she had eaten before. Her tiny body gave in. She ate quickly, desperate. Her tears fell silently as she chewed. The man smiled faintly. He said nothing, letting her eat until she was satisfied. When she finally stopped, her hands dirty from crumbs and grease, she looked at him with confusion. Why? She whispered, her voice breaking. Why feed me? If you are not a beast, then why be kind? The human's eyes met hers, steady and calm. Because you are hungry, and no one should starve, he said simply. Her lip trembled, her heart twisted painfully. His words did not match the stories. Nothing about him matched the stories. He had not eaten her, not trapped her, not harmed her. Instead, he gave her warmth and food. She stared at him for a long moment before whispering. But, you could hurt me. You are strong, and I am small. He nodded slowly. Yes, I could. But strength means nothing if it is used to harm the weak. True strength is when you protect. The words struck her, her small chest rose and fell as she tried to understand. She thought of her people, of elders who said fear was safety, who said humans were only predators. She thought of the human in front of her, who bled kindness instead of cruelty. The fire crackled between them, casting shadows across their faces. The girl's fear did not vanish. Not yet. But it began to shift. Hunger had forced her to risk trust. And in that risk she had found something new. Still, her fear whispered in her mind. She pulled her knees close again, whispering almost too softly to hear. What if tomorrow you change? What if tomorrow you become the beast they said you are? The man's gaze did not waver. Then tomorrow you can choose to run, he said. His voice was calm, without demand. But tonight, you are safe. Her eyes widened. No chains, no tricks, no demand for her obedience. Just choice, something she had never been given before. For a long while, they sat in silence. The girl leaned her head against the broken crate. Her eyelids heavy. Her small body finally relaxing just a little, hunger eased, warmth on her skin. Her fear quieter though not gone. As sleep pulled at her, her last thought whispered in her heart. Maybe the stories were wrong. The man watched her drift into restless sleep. He kept the fire alive, his eyes on the shadows beyond the corner. He knew the night held dangers, not only slavers but also the lies that lived inside her mind. Lies that would not die in a single night, but he also knew something had begun. A change as small as a spark. A frightened child had tasted kindness, and kindness could grow stronger than fear. The night was quiet, but quiet in strange places often hides danger. The small fire flickered softly, its light pushing back only a little of the deep darkness. The human man sat awake, his back against the wall, while the tiny alien girl slept curled beside the broken crate. Her breathing was shallow, her small hands clutched at her dress. Even in dreams she trembled. The man's eyes scanned the shadows. He knew the market was not safe. Not only thieves walked these paths, but worse. Slavers, they hunted the weak, the lost, and the forgotten. They were cruel beings who cared only for profit, and a child like her, small and rare, would fetch a high price. Far away, footsteps scraped against the stone. Voices whispered, low and cruel. The man's hand tightened on the small blade hidden at his side. He stayed still, waiting. His ears caught fragments of the voices. She was seen here. One voice hissed. A tiny one, glowing skin. She cannot have gone far, another replied. We find her, we get rich. The human's jaw clenched, so they were searching for her. She had been right. Someone wanted her captured. He glanced at the little girl, who slept unaware of the danger creeping closer. His chest tightened. He could run, leave her, save himself, but the thought died as quickly as it came. He could not abandon her, not after what she had already suffered. The footsteps grew louder, shadows moved between the stalls. The man leaned close to the sleeping girl and whispered, "Wake up." His voice was soft but firm. Her glowing eyes opened, still heavy with sleep. She blinked at him in confusion until she saw his serious face. Then she sat up quickly, fear already returning to her small body. "What is it?" she whispered, her voice shaking. "Slavers," he said quietly. "They are coming, they want you." Her eyes widened, her breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered. "If they catch me, they will sell me. They will." Her words broke into sobs. The man placed a steady hand in front of her, not touching but showing calm. "Listen to me," he said. "You are not alone now. I will not let them take you." She stared at him, her heart pounding. Tears filled her glowing eyes. "Why?" she whispered desperately. "Why risk yourself? I told you humans are beasts. You could leave me, you should leave me." His eyes softened. "Beast or not," he said. "I choose who I am, and I choose to protect you." Before she could answer, movement stirred in the dark. Figures stepped closer. Tall shapes with weapons glinting faintly in the firelight. The girl whimpered, covering her mouth to stay silent. Her whole body shook. She wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The man stood slowly, his body tense. His blade remained hidden, but his stance showed he was ready. The slavers stopped a few steps away, their cruel eyes scanning. One of them grinned when he saw the girl's glow. There she is, he sneered. The runaway. The girl pressed herself back against the crate, whispering, "They will take me." Her voice was filled with terror. The human's voice was calm but sharp. "You will not touch her." The slavers laughed, the sound ugly. "And who are you to stop us?" One of them mocked. "A lone human? Do you think your kind frightens us here?" The man's eyes narrowed. His voice carried quiet steel. "I do not need to frighten you. I only need to stop you." The girl's eyes widened at his words. Her heart thudded. She had never seen anyone stand for her before. Never seen someone challenge slavers. She whispered, trembling, "You will die. They are too many." The man glanced at her, his face steady. "Then I die standing, not running," he said. The slavers stepped forward, their weapons drawn. The fire crackled louder as if sensing the storm about to break. The girl gasped, pressing her hands over her glowing eyes. She could not bear to watch, but the human moved with sudden speed. His blade flashed, his body strong and sure. He struck the first slaver's arm, sending the weapon clattering to the ground. A cry of pain echoed in the night. The others rushed forward. Their heavy boots pounded the stone. The fight began. The girl crouched low, her small frame shaking. Every strike, every clash of metal made her flinch. But when she dared to look, she saw him. Fighting not like a beast, but like a shield. His body moved to block every path that led to her. His arms bled, his face hardened. Yet his eyes never left the goal of keeping her safe. Her heart twisted painfully. She whispered to herself, "Why would a beast fight for me?" The fight raged on. The human's body grew weaker from wounds. But he did not fall. His blade sang through the night, forcing the slavers back. Finally, with heavy breaths, the last of them fled into the darkness, cursing as they ran. Silence returned. The fire flickered once more. The man fell to one knee, his arm bleeding. His breath came hard. The girl rushed forward, her tiny hands shaking as she reached for him. She had never touched a human before. Her voice cracked as she cried, "Why? Why did you do this for me?" He looked at her with tired eyes, his voice soft but steady. "Because no child should be taken by beasts like them." Her tears fell fast. Her small hands pressed against his wound, trying to stop the blood. In her heart, something broke. The stories, the fear, the lies. For the first time, she saw humans not as monsters, but as protectors, and deep inside, she whispered to herself, Maybe the beast is not him, but the ones who hunt us." The night air was heavy. The fire had burned down to glowing embers, and the human sat against the wall, his body weak, his arm bleeding from the fight. The tiny alien girl knelt beside him, her trembling hands pressing scraps of cloth against his wound. Her glowing eyes were filled with panic. "You are hurt?" she whispered, her voice cracked. "It is my fault if I had not been here. They would not have come, you should have left me." The man's voice was tired but firm. "I told you, I will not leave you." His eyes, even through pain, held steady warmth. The girl shook her head, tears slipping down her silver cheeks. "Why? Why risk your life for me? I am nothing, I am small, I am weak. My people said humans never help unless they want something. They said humans only protect themselves." He gave a faint smile, though his face was pale. "Then maybe your people have never met the right human." Her chest tightened at his words, but the fear inside her still clawed to the surface. Her elder's warning screamed louder than her heart. She pulled her hands back suddenly, staring at the blood on her fingers. Her small voice trembled. "Or maybe this is a trick. Maybe you fight for me now only to sell me later." The man's smile faded, not in anger, but in quiet sadness. He leaned his head back against the wall, his voice low. "If you believe that, then you do not know me yet, but I will not force you to trust me." Her little body shook. She turned away, hugging her knees. Her mind was torn in two. Part of her saw the truth in front of her, the human bleeding because he defended her, but another part was chained to the whispers of the past, the endless warnings of beasts hiding behind kind faces. The silence stretched, broken only by the crackle of embers. Finally, the girl whispered, If I run now, would you stop me? The human opened his eyes slowly. No, he said simply. You are free. If you want to run, run. But if you stay, then I will protect you, no matter the cost. Her heart pounded. No one had ever said such words to her before. Freedom had always been an illusion, a dream far away. She had expected chains, cages, commands, but instead, he offered choice. She pressed her face into her knees, whispering so softly it was almost lost in the night. I do not understand you. The man's voice was calm, though weaker now. You do not need to, not yet, one day you will. The girl closed her eyes. Her mind screamed for her to run, to escape before it was too late. But her small hands betrayed her. Instead of pushing him away, they returned to his wound, gently pressing again. Her heart whispered what her mind could not. If he wanted to harm me, he already could have. The hours passed slowly. The girl worked with clumsy fingers, tearing strips from her own dress to bind his wound. She did not speak, but her actions spoke louder. For the first time, she was helping him, not hiding from him. When dawn touched the sky with pale light, the human stirred. His face was tired, but the bleeding had slowed. He looked at the girl and saw her small body leaning against the crate, her eyes half closed from exhaustion. She had stayed awake to care for him. You did well, he said softly. She blinked, confused. I did nothing. You stayed, he answered. That is not nothing. Her cheeks warmed, and she looked away quickly. Her voice shook. Do not thank me, I still don't trust you. He nodded slowly. That is all right. Trust is not given in a single night. It is built, piece by piece. Her heart twisted again. She hated his calmness, hated his patience, because it made her question everything she thought she knew. Her elders never spoke like this, never showed patience. They only gave commands, they only fed fear. The morning sun climbed higher, and the world around them began to wake. Traders reopened stalls. Voices rose in the distance. Life returned to the market. But in the quiet corner, something fragile had begun to grow. The girl's voice broke the silence once more. If you are not a beast, then prove it. Prove you are different. The man's eyes softened. I will prove it, he said. Not with words, but with time you will see. Her small chest rose and fell quickly. Her hands gripped the torn edge of her dress. She wanted to believe, but fear still sat heavy in her heart. Still, the seed of doubt had grown stronger, and in that doubt, a spark of hope began to live. The girl leaned against the crate, her glowing eyes watching the human carefully. She whispered, almost like a prayer. If you betray me, I will never forgive you. The man gave a faint nod, his tired voice steady. Then I must never betray you. For the first time, her lips trembled into the smallest, weakest smile. It lasted only a moment before vanishing. But it was there, a sign that her heart was not entirely closed. And so, the test of trust had begun. Not through great battles, not through words, but through the quiet choice of staying when running seemed safer. The human closed his eyes, resting against the wall. The girl watched him, her fear still whispering, but her heart speaking louder than before. And though she did not yet know it, her journey of fear was slowly turning into a journey of trust. The morning sun spread across the market. The small fires had burned out, and the cries of traders filled the air again. But in the corner where the broken crate lay, the human and the tiny alien girl sat in silence. The man's arm was still wrapped in the cloth she had tied. His face pale but calm, his breathing slow. The girl's glowing eyes kept moving between him and the world outside. She saw how people stared. Some pointed, some whispered. For them, a tiny alien child and a human together was a strange sight. But she no longer cared about the stares. Her mind was filled with questions that would not leave. She sat close enough to watch his every move. Her little hands still clutched her torn dress. Her voice finally broke the silence. You should hate me, she whispered. I doubted you. I accused you of tricks. I thought you would sell me like the others. The man turned his tired gaze to her. I do not hate you, he said gently. You only believed what you were told. That is not your fault. Her chest tightened. Her elder's words echoed in her mind. The old stories of humans as monsters. Yet here was one who bled for her, one who could have abandoned her but stayed. The conflict inside her grew too heavy. Then maybe my people lied, she whispered, trembling. The words were painful. It was like tearing apart the foundation of her world. Her small voice shook. But why would they lie? Why would they make me fear you? The human's face was thoughtful, his voice calm. Fear is power, little one. If they make you fear humans, they keep you close. They make sure you never reach out, never learn the truth. Fear is a cage. Her glowing eyes widened. A cage, she repeated softly. She thought of her life, always hiding, always warned, always trembling when humans passed. She thought of the cage she had built inside her own heart. Her tears fell silently. I was living in a cage before they even caught me, she whispered. The man gave a faint nod. Yes, but you are free now. Not just because you escaped them, but because you are learning the truth. The girl shook her head. I am still afraid, she admitted. When I look at you, part of me still whispers that you are a beast, but another part sees something else. Someone who protects, someone who gives food, someone who bleeds for me. Her voice cracked as she spoke. The man's lips curved into a soft smile. That is enough. You do not need to stop being afraid all at once. It takes time. But fear does not own you anymore. Not if you choose to see beyond it. The girl hugged her knees. Her heart raced. For the first time, she realized her fear did not control her. It fought against her. Yes, but she could fight back. She whispered, almost like a secret to herself. I want to believe you. The man's eyes softened. Then believe what you see, not what you were told. Her glowing eyes lifted to him. His body was tired, his arm wounded, yet his presence was steady, like a wall that refused to fall. She reached out with a trembling hand. For the first time, she touched his arm. Not to bandage, not to push him away, but simply to touch. Her fingers shook as they rested against his skin. She expected her body to vanish, her soul to be eaten, but nothing happened. He only looked at her gently. She gasped, pulling her hand back, then staring at it in disbelief. I touched you? She whispered. And I am still here. The man chuckled softly, though his voice was weak. Yes, still here. Her heart pounded. Her fear cracked further. She felt something new rising in her chest. Not terror, not mistrust, but warmth. A small piece of trust, fragile but real. She wiped her tears, her voice trembling. Then the stories. The stories were wrong. Humans are not beasts. The man gave a slow nod. Not all humans are good, just as not all of your people are good. But we are not the monsters they told you about. The girl's eyes glowed brighter. Not with fear, but with something else. Hope. Then what are you? She asked softly. He looked at her with calm strength. We are people, like you, capable of both kindness and cruelty. But I choose kindness. That is the truth you must see. The girl's tiny body shook as she whispered. And I choose to believe you. Her words surprised even herself, but they were real. She felt lighter, as if the chains around her chest had cracked, for the first time. She did not see him as a beast waiting to devour her. She saw him as someone different. The man leaned back against the wall, his eyes closing briefly. He was exhausted, but her words gave him strength. He whispered, That is the new truth, the one you will carry. The girl nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. She whispered back, Yes, the new truth. The day carried on outside, voices rising, footsteps echoing. But in the quiet corner, something important had shifted. A frightened child who once cried, Please don't eat me, now whispered another truth. A human was not her enemy, but her protector. And though the path ahead was still dangerous, though fear still lived inside her, she knew one thing for certain. The world she had been told was not the world she now saw. The sun climbed higher in the sky. The busy market was alive again, with traders shouting and voices filling the air. Yet in the quiet corner near the broken crate, the world felt different. The human sat resting, his wound still wrapped in the cloth the tiny alien girl had tied. The girl sat beside him, her glowing eyes no longer wide with terror, but thoughtful, almost calm. For the first time since she had seen him, her small body was not pressed into a corner. She no longer whispered, "Please don't eat me." Instead, she studied him in silence, as if trying to memorize every detail. Finally, she broke the silence. "You are still hurt," she whispered. Her little hands reached for his bandaged arm. "I can help more." He gave a faint smile. "You have helped enough." His voice was weak but steady. She shook her head, her silver blue skin catching the morning light. "No, I need to." Her voice cracked with determination. "You protected me. You bled for me. You stayed when you could have left. I want to stay too." The man looked at her with quiet pride. "Then stay," he said simply. Her heart skipped. It was such an easy answer. He did not bind her with chains, did not force her, did not demand anything. He only gave her choice. And in that moment, she understood the difference between fear and trust. The market noises grew louder, and the girl's ears caught whispers from those passing by. "Look at that human," someone muttered. "Protecting a runaway child." "Foolish," another said. "He will be hunted too." But one voice carried pity. "Or maybe he is the only one brave enough." The girl's glowing eyes blinked. Her chest tightened. She whispered, "They think you are foolish for protecting me." The man shrugged lightly, his smile faint. "Let them think. Their words do not matter. What matters is what we choose to do." Her breath caught. She had never heard words like that before. All her life, choice was stolen from her, replaced with fear. And yet this human gave her a choice again and again. She sat very still, then whispered, "Then I choose to believe, I choose to trust." Her words were fragile, but they were real. Her heart no longer belonged to the cage of fear. She looked at him with glowing eyes, not of terror, but of hope. The man's smile grew stronger, though his body was tired. "That is all I could ever ask." The girl leaned closer, her voice trembling. "I used to think humans were beasts, monsters who ate the weak. But now I see. A beast does not give food. A beast does not bleed to protect. A beast does not let me choose. You are not a beast." Her tears shone like stars as they rolled down her cheeks. The man reached out slowly, carefully. His large hand hovered near her small shoulder, waiting for her choice. She did not pull away. Instead, she leaned into his touch. For the first time, she allowed him near without fear. Her small voice whispered, "If I go back to my people, they will not believe me. They will laugh. They will call me foolish." He nodded slowly. "Maybe they will, but maybe one day, they will listen. One voice can plant a seed, and a seed can grow into truth." Her heart swelled. She thought of the stories told by firelight, the warnings, the fear. She thought of herself trembling in the crate, whispering, "Please don't eat me." Now she imagined standing tall before them, whispering instead, "You were wrong." Her lips curved into the smallest smile. "Then I will tell them. I will tell everyone. Humans are not beasts." The man's tired eyes warmed. "Then you will be braver than all of them." She sat quietly for a long moment, letting his words sink into her heart. The fear still existed inside her. Yes, but it no longer ruled her. It no longer chained her. She had something new now, truth. At last, she stood, her tiny frame trembling but strong. She looked at him with determination. "I want to walk beside you," she whispered. "Not behind, not hiding, but beside." The man pushed himself up slowly, wincing at his wounds. Yet when he stood, he looked down at her with a faint but proud smile. "Then beside me you shall walk," he said. Her glowing hand slipped into his larger one. Her heart raced. But this time it was not fear. It was courage. Together, they stepped from the corner into the open market. The stares, the whispers, the laughter followed them, but neither turned back. The girl's heart whispered a truth stronger than the voices around her. Humans are not beasts. They can be protectors. They can be family. As they walked, her small voice spoke one last time, full of trembling hope. "I feared you would eat me, but instead, you gave me life. The human's eyes softened, his voice calm as the rising sun. And you gave me something too, little one, reminding me that even the smallest heart can be the bravest. And so, beyond fear, they walked together into a new beginning, a child who no longer trembled at the sight of a human, and a man who carried the weight of proving the truth. The old stories would still echo in her mind, but now she carried a new story, a stronger one, the story of a tiny alien girl who once whispered, "Please don't eat me," and the human who showed her what it really meant to be human,